Welcome, everybody, to the Healing Place podcast. And I am so excited again. I always say I'm so excited, but I get so excited about these beautiful souls, these amazing guests that come join me on the show. So today I have Alejandra G. Brady, and she is award-winning and best-selling author and Feng Shui expert. So welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me, Teri. It's so nice to be here.
Oh, absolutely. Again, I told you I'm super excited. One, I I love the name of your book. So it's amazing. I'm going to read it just so people can know right now. So we can,
Sure.
it is, I just can't make this shit up. Overcoming fear and accepting my spiritual gifts. I mean, to me, well, it's so like captivating. I'm sure people in bookstores are probably like, oh, I so need to read this book, which
It's funny.
obviously,
It's funny. Every once in a while, you get the haters and you get the people that are like, "Oh, did you need to have profanity in the title?" And Amazon is a bit challenging for me to advertise on because of the word. But I felt very strongly about it and I just stuck to it. And I said, the people who this book is going to help will find it. And I'm not worried about everybody else.
I love
It's
that.
it's not for everybody, and I don't want to be for everybody because at that point you're for nobody. So I know that the people who are meant to read it and meant to resonate with it and meant to have it and share it will find it. I'm not worried about it at all.
Yeah. And that was one of the things I had starred when I was reading through. I printed off some information about you. One of the things
Hmm.
I started, and you talk about, and I'm gonna put in my own words, but
Hmm.
like just being open to your spiritual gifts, because we all have these gifts. Like I say, this our reason for being here, and so being open to that. And so again, the book finding its way to people is really for those people who are open to it coming into their lives.
Hmm. Very much
Yeah.
so. Very much
Yeah.
so.
Awesome. So can you talk to us about really what I guess what you do? Well, let's do your background story first. Tell us where, like, how this book came to be, and about you and your journey.
Oh my goodness. That's a long story, but let's see. I can condense it to my spiritual journey started when I was about 50. And I blame Feng Shui for it all. And I blame a very dear friend of mine who was a client at the time. I am an interior designer and I have been for over 20 years at this point, maybe even a little bit more now. I'm losing track. But I was designing her home and she was way more spiritually in touch at that point in time than I was. And this is about 7 years ago. I'm going to be 57 in September. So this all kind of started around 50. And out of the blue, in September of the year I turned 50, so right around my birthday, I started having problems with my neck. So I went to go see my surgeon because I was just recovering from a lower lumbar fusion. I had scoliosis as a child, so we kind of figured at some point there'd be an issue. And so that was not completely unexpected, but it was a big fusion. And then, surprisingly, I also had to have a full hysterectomy and a bladder surgery that went really wrong. And then I had to learn to catheterize myself for 6 months anytime I wanted to go to the restroom. And then they went in and fixed it again. So all of this stuff had been going on from 47 to 50. So here I was finally recovering from everything, back to work, working with clients, planning a 50th birthday trip. And I started dropping things out of my right hand. And I'm like, this is weird. So I called my surgeon. He said, come on in. And they did a quick test, MRI, whatever it is that they did. I don't even remember. It was such a whirlwind. And they said, well, you don't have to come in like this second, but in the next few weeks, you're going to have to come in. You're going to need cervical fusion. So I now have a plate in my neck with 6 screws, cadaver bones to rebuild my discs and mesh and, wire or whatever else they did in there to hold me together. And that just rocked my world because there was no reason. There was nothing ever wrong with my neck. My scoliosis had always been the lower half. I had a C curve, so all lower back. And so I was telling my client about this, and she said, I'm having a Feng Shui practitioner come to my home. And she said, would you like, if she does 2 consultations, she won't charge us for travel to get here because she didn't live in Tampa. And something in me just said yes, just to do it. And maybe she could help me get ready for the surgery. That was really the intent of the entire thing. So she came, she's walking around my house, she's giving me ideas for the bedroom, and she just stopped and she looked at me And she said, you're going to be doing this. And I said, no, I have no interest in doing this whatsoever. TikTok, just tell me what I need to do to get ready for the surgery because I had tunnel vision. What do I need to do to my primary bedroom to get ready for this surgery? And so she left. We implemented what she said to do. I had a seamless recovery. As I was feeling better, my husband and I kind of started noticing that we felt better in our room. We slept better. Our relationship was better. At this time, we'd been married maybe 27, 28 years. And I just said, I think I want to keep doing this. So he goes, okay, what room do you want to do next? So slowly, as I'm recovering, because I was in a neck brace for weeks, we're doing another room, another room, another room. So I was my own guinea pig. And once we transform our house with Feng Shui, the energy in the entire house shifted. And it became my gateway drug to all things spiritual. So I fully blame Feng Shui for where my life is right now. It's Feng Shui's fault. So suddenly I was interested in all other things. I'm like, oh, well, what about meditation? Well, what about Reiki? Well, what about past life regressions? So very, very early into my meditation practice, I asked, what is my purpose here? I really did. I just was having a day and I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing? My design business was shut down because I was recovering. I was thinking about starting this Feng Shui, to go back and study and get certified under her, which I did do. And, our son had graduated from college, moved to Chicago. So I was kind of in this limbo, right? What's my next phase? Turning 50. Somehow 50 is a big number for a lot of people. A lot of people have their spiritual awakening right around that time. And a voice came in during meditation and said, you're going to be writing a book. And just like I told the practitioner, I said, yeah, no, thank you. What else you got for me? I have no interest in writing a book. I know what writing a book means. Not only will writing a book be hard, but that means you gotta get out there and talk about the book. You're not going to write it and put it in your drawer. And I'm like, I don't want to do any of that. No, thank you. And for the next 5 days, because I began a daily meditation practice, I asked the same question and I got the same answer. And so finally on the 5th day, I surrendered and I said, all right, what do you want me to write a book about? Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to write a book about. And I was just told to start writing down what was happening to me and what would be happening to me. And so that's how it started. I didn't know that I was ever going to go anywhere with it. You know what I mean? I was almost like trying to appease the spirit guide. It was actually Archangel Michael, because I asked, who are you? And he told me. I'm highly clairaudient. And I guess I should mention that. People are like, what do you mean? Who's she talking to?
Right.
And I just started writing it kind of like to appease and think, well, maybe they'll give me some guidance and I can leave this aside and go on to something else. But no, they had me stick through it. And, every time I needed something, I'm like, okay, well, who's going to help me edit? They'd bring me an editor. Who's going to help me design the cover? So as I moved forward, I got all the people that I needed to birth this creation into the world. So, and it became kind of the pivot. That's what I do now. I do Feng Shui. I work with people in their homes energetically, and I've shared my story so that other people going through spiritual journeys, can have someone else to look at, because it's not always a fun experience.
Yes. Oh, one, I've been writing my memoir for 10 years, so it's probably 11 now. And so I totally relate with what you're saying on birthing a book. It is such a process and it really is a commitment. And I receive the signs. I've been ignoring them mostly. So yeah, but I know they're
Well,
there.
I was ignoring them, and they kept, I feel like I look at things now, and I'm sure you do too. They're happening for me, right? Not to me. So I think
Yeah.
they were trying to get my attention. Hysterectomy, you're supposed to go down, and then catheterize, you're supposed to go down, like you're supposed to rest. Well, I just hopped back up, attached that thing to my leg, kept going. Spinal surgery, you're supposed to go down. I was right back up. Okay, neck surgery, you can't. You can't drive. You can't cook. You can't do anything except really lay around and watch TV. You can't even read because you'd be holding your book up here to be able to
Oh
see
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So, just it took me a long time to listen to. It
Yeah.
still does. I still find myself sometimes when I created my card deck, my Feng Shui card deck, I was in the middle of having shingles on this whole side of my face and my neck and my head
Oh,
because once again, and they're like, no, 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 there's something else you need to do. So we're going to stop you. You know?
yes. Yes.
So,
Oh my
so
gosh. I
yeah,
call them,
I'm trying not to get to that point anymore. So hopefully you start listening to the signs.
I know, I do. I really need to start. I call them angel whispers, but now I think they're
Yes.
becoming like a little more than whispers. Like, hey,
I was getting beaten over the head, literally.
right, right, exactly. Yeah, yeah. I love it. One of my favorite really quick little stories is when, so it probably has been about 14 years now. My dad died in '09, and about a year after he had passed, someone that I knew, a recent acquaintance had said, Teri, I was at church and your dad sat next to me and had a message for you. And I was like, okay, like that's weird. My dad's been dead for, passed
Right.
away for a year. And she said, he told me to tell you that there's a message in the blue book. And I was like, a message in the blue book? Why? I had just gotten all my dad's books from my mom's apartment.
Mm,
And there were tons of them. And my dad was one that wrote in every margin, underlined, starred. And I was like, how am I ever going to find? So I took all his books and I was like shaking them, hoping a piece of paper would fall in my lap.
right.
Nothing. I couldn't even find like a blue book, right? In all these boxes. And so I just said to the Holy Spirit, you know what? When it's meant to come to me, it will. And then maybe like a year or two later, I was sitting at my desk writing my memoir, feet up. And I was like, oh, I really need some guidance. I really need some help. And leaned my head back and turned my head to the right. And there on a bookshelf behind some pictures and knickknacks, I saw
Mhm.
the top of a blue book. And I said, oh my gosh, I already had the blue book.
Ah,
It was my dad's New Testament. And so he was a Jesuit brother for 8 years
oh,
in the
wow.
Catholic Church before he left to marry my mom. So it was from then. So I open it up and there's a little inscription that, he had received it from his uncle upon entering the seminary. And then I started flipping, 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 flipping. He wrote on one page in that entire New Testament. And I have it all blown up in his handwriting. And it says,
Ah.
my ability to write. What am I doing with it?
Oh, oh,
Yep.
I just got
I
chills.
know. I have goosebumps on my neck
Oh,
always, every darn time. So yeah, Dad, I get it. All right. I need to finish
will
it.
use this as another little nudge.
Yeah, exactly. And you are here with me in this moment to give me that nudge and
I
inspiration.
love
So.
that. Our son went to a Jesuit school. He went to Jesuit here in Tampa.
Oh,
So,
that's so awesome. Yeah,
yeah.
both of my boys, they went to St. Xavier High School in Cincinnati and then they ended up at the
Great school.
University of Dayton. Yeah,
Mm,
yeah, that's so awesome. Very
I
cool.
love that.
Yeah, so Feng Shui, help me understand. I mean, I only know what I know from like a movie or is it an art? Is it a practice? What is it?
It is a practice that dates back, depending on the text that you read, 4 to 6,000 years. It originated in China, and it is just a way of working with the energy in your space, whether it's your office or your home, so that you can get it balanced and harmonious and aligned with what you want out of life. So everybody thinks it's just moving around furniture. Sometimes I move around furniture. Sometimes I don't touch anything. Sometimes it's decluttering. Sometimes it's looking at obstacles that are in your path, So it's just a beautiful practice that originated so, so long ago. And its origins are for the Chinese emperors had these people who went out and looked at land formations and tried to find the most auspicious place to build a temple or a burial ground or something for the emperors of the time. And then it kind of went out and became, more mainstream throughout China. But that's the basic of it. And I try to explain it to people this way. If you were looking at a mountain and you could build your house at the very top of the mountain, in the middle, or at the very bottom, and there's a river running along the bottom, where are you going to build it? Which is the best place? Well, if you build it at the very top, unseen forces like wind can take it away, right? You can have a big gale of wind, a gust of wind, and it can knock your house over. So Feng actually translates to wind, which means energy. And Shui is water. Unseen energy, seen energy. Feng Shui. So it's the yin and yang, it's the balance of both. Again, if you build your house at the very bottom, right along the riverbank, a big flood can come, right, and wash your house away. So where is that balance? Where's the sweet spot? Right in the middle. You have the protection from the mountain behind you, and you're close enough to the water to have its resource, but it's not going to take your house away. So people get very confused. People think, oh, is it witchcraft? No. Is it anti-religion? No, it's not pro-religion. It's not anti-religion. It has nothing to do with religion. It is just about looking at your home and seeing how you can energetically work with it. So, I mean, I can look at a home and my superpower, I guess, is that the home can talk to me, and I can see what's going on. But that's because of my feng shui and my biophilic design training. Um, is if and I listen very closely to what a client is saying. Sometimes it's super literal, sometimes it's a little more nuanced. But if somebody's telling me I am so burned out all the time, I will look around and see if there's a whole bunch of burned out light bulbs. I just had this happen. We were in New Orleans a few weeks ago in May at some point, and I was at a home. I was not there for a consultation. So again, if I'm not there for professional purposes, I hold myself back a little bit more. But literally, the husband and wife in this family were talking about how exhausted and burnt out they were. And I look up, and in the same room that we're talking, in the dining room, because they had food spread out there, were 7 of the 8 light bulbs in their dining room fixture that no longer worked. And I'm like,
Wow.
yeah. Yeah. And I did approach her later and I just said, because I heard you saying this, if I may just offer you a thought. And I just said, try changing out well, we're so tired. I go, I know, but if you just change those out, let's see if that helps you be less tired. So it's looking around at your surroundings and seeing what you're really surrounded with. We get so blind, right, to our surroundings. Like you were saying, you didn't notice the book for 2 years, and there it was sitting in your space the whole time. Are you surrounded by pictures of people that are no longer in your life, people that are divorced, people that you don't speak to anymore? I found that in our own house. I was walking up the stairs one day and I just stopped and went, huh, and there was one frame, just one of the many going up the stairs, because it looked like your gallery right there, a gallery wall. And I'm like, well, this person's dead. This person's divorced. This person we haven't spoken to in 20 years. Like, why are they taking up space and energy in my house where I'm going up and down the stairs how many times a day? You don't even realize, but all that's energy. So it's looking at all of those little things.
Oh gosh, I love it. That's so crazy you should say that. So my office to me is not claustrophobic, but I know that some people would come in and be like, because I have so many like inspirational sayings, like in photos and pictures, and it's like my thing that I've surrounded myself
Mhm.
with. But I walked into it, oh, I don't know, maybe like 2 weeks ago, I came into my office and almost like it was almost like there was a haze in the room. And I said, who's here? Like,
Oh,
is somebody
I
here?
love that.
I was like, Mom? It's because my mom had died on my birthday in 2023, so a little over a year ago.
My mom died on her mom's birthday.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know many people that's happened to. That's wild. I'm sorry. Didn't
Yeah.
mean to interrupt you, but
No,
that
that's
was
okay. That's
wow.
okay. So I was like, who, like, what is it? And it was almost like this feeling like it's time to revamp this. It's time
Mm.
to let's clear these walls and let's do something in here. So yeah. So what you're saying, I kind of just need to listen to where I'm being guided with this and make some shifts.
Well, I do consultations all over the
Oh,
world,
yay.
but you're so close to me that if we're up in Hilton Head, we can just set up an appointment too. Because
Yeah.
chances are we might be up there either for Thanksgiving or Christmas with our in-laws,
Oh my God. I
my
say
my son's
definitely.
in-laws. So we'll do that.
Yes.
If you want, in the meantime, what you can do is just let your walls breathe. Take everything down and put it away and just see how it feels with nothing. That's what I did on my staircase. I just took everything down, and my husband's like, oh no, like don't make me redo this wall. I'm like, no, actually, I just want you to patch and paint it and let's just see how it feels with nothing. And maybe you'll have to redo it, maybe you won't. And we decided not to. And it just felt so much better and gave us so much more clarity to not be surrounded by all that stuff all the time. And look, I mean, look behind me. You're in my office here. I'm not
Yeah.
a minimalist.
Right,
in any way,
right.
shape, or form. So I'm not saying I want to see nothing. I'm just saying if it's been that way for a while and you're feeling that nudge that it's maybe feeling a little stagnant or stale for you, why don't you just take everything down and leave nothing, patch and paint it, and just leave it down for a minute and see how that feels, and then go through all your stuff and see what feels right to put back up again, or wait for me and we'll do it together.
Yeah.
But give it that little breather. Give your wall a little breather, and maybe it'll guide you in a different direction.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, thank you so much. And
Sure.
absolutely, yes, I will do that. I know, so you said you do consultations. Can you
Mhm.
do them by Zoom with people?
Mhm.
Can to anywhere in the world?
Mhm. I just had a client who lives in Europe who just played in Wimbledon. So yes, I
Oh,
do. I was very nervous, I will share with you. At the beginning, I felt I had to be in a person's space in order to do it well, right? And be immersed in their energy. But, COVID pushed us all out of our comfort zones. And I started trying because people were asking me, and I'm like, well, I mean, I can't go. And so a couple of people, I just said, all right, let's try it. Let's see if we can make this work. And sure enough, I am able. I like to do it. I actually do it on FaceTime versus Zoom because it's easier for people to walk around with their phone and show me things.
right.
So they will hold me, like, on their phone, like I'm walking through the front door with them, and we take a tour of the entire home. They'll have already sent me their blueprints or a list of questions that what we're focusing on. And then we'll sit and just chat for about the first half an hour, give or take. And then we dive in. Then we do a tour of the house and we discuss, and I listen for those cues. What are they telling me? Do they want out of their life that is not happening right now? Do they need career opportunities? Are they looking for a partner? What's going on? And let's figure out A, if there's something blocking it, or B, what can we do to enhance that coming into your house? Because like it's one or the other usually. I was working, we lived in Sedona for a lot of COVID. And I was working on a client's home there, and she's a Reiki practitioner. So like her house was pretty good energetically. You walked in and I'm like, it feels good in here. Everything's good. She's feng shuied everything. And she wanted a partner. And I'm just like, I mean, the room's got everything. I couldn't figure out what was going on. And then I just finally said, is there anything under your bed? She goes, oh, just a bunch of old papers. I go, yeah, but what old papers? What's under your bed? Oh, nothing. I go, no, 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 no. Let's pull them out. What's under your bed? Divorce papers,
Oh,
letters from old lovers, gifts and cards from ex-boyfriends and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, this is why you can't call in another partner. It's busy already in here. You're sleeping with like 5 different people every night, because that energy is there,
yeah.
So all we had to do was clear. I think that consultation took an hour because all we did was get everything out of there. I'm like, find another place for your divorce papers. You should not be sleeping over them. And she's
Yes.
not the only one that I found that with. Um, so we just cleared underneath and did a little, Palo Santo just to kind of clear the energy and get the space back to neutral. And a couple of months later, she reported back to me she'd met somebody. And as last I know, she's in a good relationship and happy. So sometimes it's that simple, you
Yeah.
know?
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. I love that. And
Yeah.
one question that popped into my
Yeah.
head was if something bad happened in a house or something where somebody experienced, if they're living in their home and they experienced something, a tragedy of some sort
Mhm.
or a trauma, is that something that can then be cleared?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Short answer is yes, it absolutely can. That is not necessarily my specialty if it really gets hairy, but I have had to do it. I went to just a regular consultation one day, and I walked in and the woman was there with her 3 daughters, and she said, there's about 20 something spirits and ghosts that are scaring my daughters, and they're opening doors at night and they're slamming into them in their bed, and that, they're freaked out. What can we do? And I'm like, oh, okay. Said, we'll give it a go. Yeah, this is not really my forte, but let's work with it. We sat, and so this is something that your listeners and your viewers can do, which is why I'm sharing it. So we happened to sit in the middle of the hallway and then opened the doors to all 3 of the girls' rooms. They each had their own room. And then in each room, we opened windows. So each one had an escape hatch, basically, right? So we sat in the center of the hallway and we did a salt burn. And if your listeners go to my Instagram page, I have multiple reels on how to do a salt burn, but I can run it through with you real quick here if you've got time.
Yeah.
You get 3 handfuls of rock salt, and you can get it on Amazon. It's super inexpensive. It's maybe $4 or $5 for like a 4-pound bag. You're going to get a bowl that is fireproof. And everybody's goes, where do I go get that? Go to Target, the kitchen aisle, where like for $3 or $4, they have all the white plates and the separate pieces of stuff. Just buy a little bowl. You're going to get a trivet because you want something to be between what you're burning and whatever surface it's on. A trivet just will kind of keep the heat. You're going to get matches, and then you're going to get 151 proof rum, or like Everclear or something, a high alcohol, because you need it to burn. That's the one caveat. Like people are like, can I just do it with, I'm like, no, it has to be 151 proof or higher to burn. So you will take the 3 handfuls of rock salt, put them in the bowl, bowls on the trivet, salts in the bowl. And then you're going to say the 6 true words, which are Om Mani Padme Hum. Then as you're saying those words, you can pour just enough of the liquor to barely cover the salt. Because if you burn too much, it'll be there for hours and you're just going to have to sit there and watch this thing burn forever. And then you're going to take your match. And as you light it, you're going to say, I am asking that any negative energy in this space be transmuted into positive energy. If that is not possible, then I ask the negative energy to please leave this space and be gone. You can do it if there's sickness. That's what I love about this cure. I always tell this to clients too, who are calling me and I can't get them in for a few weeks or something. I'm like, you can do a salt burn to get you through till I get there. It's like smudging your whole house on steroids. So this will kind of clear everything and kind of bring the energy back to neutral. Back to this little girl's case. I was doing it specifically talking to those entities and saying, you guys can't be here and you can't scare these children. They need to sleep. They need to feel safe in their own beds. They need to feel safe in their home. And I got told there were 24. I said, are you all going to leave? They said, no. 6 of them were staying. But the 6 that stayed said that they promised that they were not going to, mess with the girls anymore. They weren't doing it maliciously. They were just kind of having fun, but they were scaring the little girls. So 6 stayed. I've since done the woman's office building. So I talked to her maybe about 4 or 5 months ago, and this was about 2 years ago. She said the girls have slept through the night ever since.
Oh,
It's never been another issue. They've left them alone. So you can use it for that. I like to use it when you buy a new house, because predecessor chi, you don't know what necessarily went on in there. I like to use it after a heated argument, or if you've had a party for the holidays, when you've had a lot of people and a lot of energy in your house. So it works for all those different things. And if you're still not feeling that it really cleared, find somebody who works with dowsing and can work on the land, because sometimes it's not the house, it's the land. And that's
yeah.
beyond my scope of work. So in
Okay.
our particular house that we built, I had to get somebody who worked on the land because, unbeknownst to me, apparently there were rituals that were done here that were dark magic hundreds of years ago. And I'm like, great, that's the corner I picked. Love it. But you don't know. So,
I
you know,
so I so get it. And again, very, very briefly, and so many people who are fans of the show have heard me talking about this over the last, gosh, now 4 years. When we moved to Hilton Head, we bought this beautifully rehabbed home, absolutely gorgeous. Within 7 months of us moving in, I got very, very sick, crying to my
mhm,
family. I feel like I've been poisoned. My throat was
mhm.
closing up. I'd lost 58 pounds, rash all over my body. Like everything was just going awry. My labs were out of whack. Came to find out, and this is the very brief version, that the house had been condemned for toxic mold because a man had died in it. So we ended up doing clearings. We ended up doing having someone come in with rosary in one hand and sage in the other, and like helped him release him. Like we did a lot of work.
Mhm.
I made a garden for him in the backyard. Like we did a lot to help him
Mhm.
release from the
Move
house.
on.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but the remediation teams that came in were like saying, oh, there's history in this house. We kept getting all these messages that, so
Oh,
I
I
did
just got
find
chills again.
mold. Yeah. And so we ended up clearing it out, and I'm on the path, other than the rash. The rash is the last that's still got a grip on me. But what I just find it so fascinating, because
Mhm.
we still kept sensing a presence. And so we had reached out to someone. I had talked to another podcast guest actually, who said, and both of them said the same thing. Oh yeah, there's a woman there, but she's connected to the land, but she's not like angry or anything. She just wants to make sure you're taking care of her land. Like, and
Yeah.
so I was
Oh,
like, oh, like I'm
I'm
wondering.
like literally just all over goosebumps.
Right, right. I know. I talk about too. So again, trying to just honor her. So when I do gardening, I'm trying to just honor this
Hmm.
space that's our land
Right.
where our house is built. Which, who knows? There's the Gullah population that was
Right.
here. There was, even prior to them, it could have been Native Americans that were settled here. Like, we just don't know who was on this land.
I got a fresh batch of chills when you said the Gullah people.
Yeah.
I feel like that might be what she was a part of. For your rash, just curious, do you have a lot of vines or anything growing up against your house? I do find that when I work on houses, if there's a lot that's attached like to the siding and to the painting, if you have a lot of vines growing, sometimes, actually quite a few times, the people in those homes tend to have skin conditions. Now, yours
Interesting.
might
I'll
be
have to
totally
go
related
look.
to the mold, but just something to look at if
Yeah.
that's like persistent and doesn't want to leave. Like, do you have anything creepy crawling, up and down vines or something super closely attached to your house? Just check it out and see.
I
And if
for
so,
sure
maybe
will.
try and remove it.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that.
Hmm.
I know the parts that we can see easily, we do not, but that doesn't mean that there's not a lot of our trees have tons of, like, it's almost like all of our
A
trees have
web.
yeah, exactly.
And see,
Ooh,
that's what's going on. It's a web of rash of through your face or your skin or wherever it
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, gosh, I could sit here and talk to you for like a whole day. So, oh my gosh. Well, I certainly want to give you the opportunity to, leave people with any final thoughts or anything that we didn't get to touch upon.
I just Some final thoughts since I shared so much of the salt burn. Make sure you're doing that on a day that you feel good. Like, don't go into that as like any ritual, any intention. Don't go into it if you're angry. Like, wait till you're calmed down. If you're going to do it after a fight, or an argument in the house or a big sickness, just wait till you're in a good headspace to do it, because intention is such a big part of the ritual. And make sure that doors are open or windows are open, that negative energy has somewhere to go. And don't leave it unattended. I find it really, really interesting to take pictures as the burn is happening. And sometimes you get figures in the fire. I had a figure of a man and his dog. And
Oh,
when I had the person come and help me clear the land, they're like, there was a man here who was the one doing all these things. And I'm like, okay, well, there's a man and a dog in the fire. So maybe that helped them move forward, you know?
yeah.
Um, and I would always say, look at your front door too, because that always has so much to do. And I've got a ton of posts on my Instagram that people can look at that are just super easy ways to work with feng shui if you're not ready to hire me, or are not feeling aligned but want to dabble and at least look at it. There's tons of posts with lots of easy things to do in the house too.
Awesome. Which leads me
Yeah.
to my final question is, where do people connect with you? So, like, your Instagram, website, all that fun stuff.
I am most active on Instagram because I had to choose one. I mean, you
Yeah.
could spend your
Yeah.
entire day on socials and it's just exhausting. So my Instagram does post to my Facebook and to threads and stuff, but I am most active and I check messages and do all that on my Instagram. And it's Alejandra G Brady Life Styled. And my website's super easy, alejandrabrady.com. So either
Awesome.
one of those, you can reach out to me.
Wonderful. Well, Alejandra, it has been absolutely delightful. I've learned so much. And again, I could sit here and talk to you for hours. So
We can do
yes, and
it
when you are
again.
on Hilton Head, I cannot wait to meet up with you and
Yes.
yeah, just meet in person. So thank you
I
for
would
being
love it.
part of the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Teri.
All right. Well, everyone, thanks for joining us on the Healing Place podcast. And remember, until next time, be gentle with yourself. Thanks. Bye bye. Hey, everybody. Teri Wellbrock here. Just wanted to thank you again for being a part of this healing space and my hashtag hope for healing journey. Thank you for sharing, liking, inviting others to join, listening in. You've really helped this show blossom. It has now been downloaded in 136 countries and is in the top 2% globally out of 3.2 million shows, which is just amazing. And it's all because of you and your tuning in and inviting others and sharing and liking and loving. And your reviews on Apple really help too. My goal is to hit 100 5-star reviews by the end of the year. And I am closing in on that. So if you are listening in on Apple or Apple Podcasts, please go and rate the show and leave a review if you absolutely love it. And I would be most appreciative. Also, if you would like to receive my monthly Hope for Healing newsletter, please be sure to go to teriwellbrock.com. It's Teri, just one R, WELLBROCK.com. And I have a gift to send you for signing up for that monthly Hope for Healing newsletter. Plus, there are many other resources listed on that page, including a resource library. All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.